So let's imagine that I have this data over here and I need to make a graph of it. As you know, go to Charts, X, Y, Scatter, choose whatever option you want, and let's move it so that it's in its own window to make it easier to see. And here's our data. Here's the problem. It's pretty hard to tell anything about any of the data points down here because they're so small. This looks pretty much like an exponential graph, and in fact it is. So what we can do is select one of the axes to make not a linear progression where each of these increments goes up by the same amount, but instead make one of the axes logarithmic, sort of to undo the exponential function, take the inverse of the exponential function. So we could do this either to the y-axis or to the x-axis. Sometimes you'll need to do it to one, sometimes to the other. In this case, it looks like we need to do it to the y-axis. So here's what you do. First, click the y-axis, or click any of the numbers on the y-axis. Then control-click them, and go down to Format Axis. We want to choose the scale over here, and we want to pick logarithmic scale. And you can already see in the background it's changed the way the numbers look. One other thing that's useful is to click on ticks, those little marks, and instead of just the major ticks, you can see major ticks are already checked, we want to also highlight the minor ticks. So you can choose where you want to put them, whatever. So down over here, you should now be able to see those different ticks along the y-axis. And here's something else that's cool. Okay, let me see if I can explain this. If you look at these things here, let's zoom in slightly. If you look at some of these ticks, what this means is it goes up each time by the same amount, but they're not evenly spaced. So you can see from 100, there's the first tick that's up to 200. Here's the next tick up to 300. There's the next tick up to 400. Next tick up to 500, and so forth. But notice they're not evenly spaced because it's a logarithmic graph.